Welcome to the Metropolis Pictures Podcast with your host, me, Daniel of Metropolis Pictures. Today's guests are, gentlemen, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hello, everyone. I am Painkiller Studios. I am a film student and independent game developer.
Oh, I'm Shadex, and I'm a YouTuber, and I'm also a film student.
I personally assumed that we'd have a lot more guests on today, but unfortunately, I guess that some of the other guys are busy, so it's just going to be us three, and we should be fine. Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we
Yes.
Yeah,
The more the merrier.
be? Yeah. Hey, hang on a second. I got to turn off my damn Xbox before it starts sending me notifications. You guys talking shit about me when I left? Huh?
Nope.
No.
I know. Nah,
We
don't
really
lie.
weren't. We weren't.
Yeah.
We totally weren't at all. Nope.
No, you were saying some shit. It's like, oh, he's such a fucking loser. Keeps his Xbox on during a fucking podcast. Motherfucker. So, gentlemen, how have we been this week?
Best I've been in a while. Work's been kind of kicking my butt lately, and school. I'm getting a lot busier, and things are pretty good right now.
Well, things are pretty all right with me. Things are also pretty all right with me. I'm back on my social disability checks, my SSI, and also hoping to get a job at FYE, which I think working at that store might be a better environment for me. Although it might be a hassle to get to work, seeing as how I don't have a car. But the mall isn't all that far away, so I should be doing okay.
FYE seems like a cool place to work.
Yeah. I mean, I used to work in fast food, personally, and it was a nightmare, and I was an employee, but I think would like somewhere that just has like a smaller revenue of customers and just has and like in retail in general just might be easier for me because I'm selling stuff that I'm familiar with. And I hope to like just mainly work with the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff because that's sort of my area, and that's sort of an area I understand.
Where I'd like to work is a comic book store.
That too, because I sort of understand that market. The thing about me is I never read comics as a kid. It's like a thing that you assume that kids do at one point in their lives. They read comics, but the closest thing I read to a comic was Captain Underpants, which isn't a comic. That's like a short novel with pictures on it. It doesn't even count.
The closest I ever got to reading comics back in like high school or so was manga. And before that, when I was younger, all I read was old Spider-Man comics that my dad had lying around.
At least you had a dad. Yeah, that's the type of podcast this is. No, we're not going there. We're not going there.
But I'm getting back into comics more and more now.
I personally read manga. I personally mostly read manga once I found out that manga was a thing. Because obviously before then, Dragon Ball was obviously an American television show made by a bunch of white guys at Cartoon Network, right? Obviously, it's not made by some guy in Japan, and it's part of this mass media market that is anime.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of manga. I have I grew up watching Naruto, so I have a bunch of Naruto manga.
I did too.
My little brother, he watched Dragon Ball Z Kai on Nicktoons back when it was on Nicktoons. Yep. So he has some Dragon Ball Z manga that's on my shelf.
My younger brother went full weeboo when Naruto came over to America.
Naruto filled the void that Dragon Ball Z left behind. It was the closest thing to Dragon Ball Z you could get. It's like Dragon Ball, but like with ninjas and shit. And like the main character runs around in an orange tracksuit all the time. It's like it's fucking awesome. And you can turn into a woman and shit.
Ninjas, sneaking, wears an bright orange jumpsuit.
And so, and then I read the back that what manga was and just started researching it myself. And that led me to discovering all other anime franchises and just discovering what anime was as a concept. But obviously that's not one of the topics I had set in mind. But, we're just trying to go for time here.
Yeah.
We're patting out people.
Yeah.
Not everybody showed up, okay?
I didn't really get into reading manga until like freshman year of college when a girl I was crushing on at the time recommended me a few different series here and there.
Was she in the anime club?
Yeah.
That's where I met most of the girls I liked. Anime club.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
But if you saw her on the street, you wouldn't think at all that she would be into anime.
Well, that's how it is with people nowadays, right? It's like we're past our weeboo stages, but we still find a way to like it while hiding it. Because
she looks like she could be in a sorority or something.
Yeah, and I've met a few girls like that at my college. I think that's just like the newest aesthetic.
Totally into anime, manga, video games, whatnot, and she's a cosplayer.
Oh, that makes sense.
I never would have thought that. She's a cosplayer. Yeah, but that was a while ago.
So, I guess we should start going into topics.
There was a little movie that came out about last weekend. Venom. Should we go see it?
Is it
good?
That new drama with Meryl Streep?
I think it might. It might be. Yes.
And she's like having an affair with Tom Hardy, right? Because I've been seeing his name in promotion, and his name on the promotion all over. Like Meryl Streep is having an affair with Tom Hardy, and it's like it's causing a venom in their lives to spread.
And the drama with that is pretty intense.
Yes,
I've heard.
Yes. I think that it might just be one of the most powerful dramas of 2003, because it definitely looks like a movie that should have come out in 2003. Okay, in all seriousness, that is how I feel about the actual Venom movie, which, by the way, I haven't seen yet, so I guess there's not much to talk about other than the spoilers.
I haven't seen it yet, but working for a movie theater, I've already been spoiled rotten by it.
That's
certain
right.
Scenes and yeah.
Yeah,
you were for the Alamo Draft House.
Yes. Alamo Draft House. I get free movies, so I should probably go see it soon. But I'm just a little conflicted because I'm seeing negative reviews. I'm seeing pretty polar reviews on it.
I feel like the only people who enjoy it are people who sort of past its flaws and just see it as some dumb comic book movie with just a big giant monster going around killing everybody and saying some jokes. Yeah. And if you look at it that way, it's a good film.
And a Australian dude trying to do a New York accent.
I thought he was English.
I thought he was Australian.
Tom Hardy.
I thought he was Australian. Hold on, let me check that.
Oh
yeah, he is. Yeah, you're right. My bad. He is English.
See, the thing is, I didn't know that until I started researching Mad Max, because I assumed that he was Australian.
It was because of him and Mad Max that I just thought he was Australian.
I don't even know if he was doing an Australian accent. He just sounded like he was trying to put on an accent of some kind. And, oh no, we ain't going there. That's bait. My name's Max. I'm a survivor.
Oh my fucking god, that was so good.
Yeah, I have to talk about that movie one of these days. That was like one of the surprise hits of 2015 for me.
Yeah, I watched
That's
it.
still my favorite
I
film
went
of
to
that
go
year.
see that opening night, and it was amazing. And I kind of wish it won Best Picture that year.
And anybody who tells you, and anybody will tell you this, but the second it gets to like what's his name? Flaming head doof guy with the guitar?
Guitar guy.
Yeah,
I
as
think
soon as it
I
gets
think
to guitar guy, that's
he's
when you know you love
credited
this
as
movie.
he's credited as rock writer, but everybody just calls him the guitar guy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
We were just talking about Venom a
he's-
second ago.
He's the best character in the movie.
Yeah, I
We
saw.
transitioned into a better Tom Hardy movie, apparently. What were you about to say, Shade?
Oh yeah,
Back to
I
Venom.
saw Fury Road on HBO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What do you think?
let's
You saw Venom though, so you could probably talk about this more than we can.
Venom. Yeah, I did a review of it, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. What
It's-
happens in the film? Enlighten us.
Okay, so it's basically there's Tom Hardy. Wait, so I can spoil it.
Yeah, you can
Sure.
spoil it. I'm gonna put spoilers in the on the title anyway.
Okay, so Venom. It starts with Tom Hardy. He's with his girlfriend. He's gonna propose to her. Then he checks. He I don't know. He checks on her computer. And then he finds out that she's the lawyer to the bad guy, Carlton Drake.
Mhm.
And then he learns that that her firm is protecting him, is from a lawsuit where because people are getting killed, homeless people.
Right. From what I hear, that Riz Ahmed is basically experimenting on homeless.
And let me think. Then he has to interview
seem like the
Carlton.
kind of
Then
movie.
Eddie Brock has to interview Carlton Drake, and then it's supposed to be just an interview, a normal interview. But then he brings up oh, are you experimenting on people? And then the guards take him away, and he gets fired from his job. His girlfriend breaks up with him, and then he meets the doctor, Dr. Doris Skirth.
What doctor?
The person who works at the Life Foundation, the lady.
Oh, okay.
And then she sneaks him in. Then at the beginning of the film, there's this homeless woman who Eddie's friends with,
Mm-hmm.
and she apparently she has the Venom symbiote. But
Wait, what?
She has the symbiote attached to her, and it gets on Eddie.
And that's how he gets Venom?
Yeah.
That's how he gets the Venom?
He breaks out the homeless woman because he thinks she's alright, but then she just lunges on him.
Wait, she attacks him?
Yeah, she attacks Eddie Brock. She's like, "Grr."
Because she's got the Venom in her.
Yeah,
and
then
shit.
then she dies. The symbiote kills her, and it gets on Eddie. Then he leaves.
See, this is how you can tell I'm not a comic book fan. I keep calling it the Venom. I feel like an old man who's casually aware of comics.
Yeah, I don't want to summarize the whole film, but
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. I think
Oh yeah, there's
from
some
what you're describing,
there's
it
some funny
sounds-
scenes like when Venom when Eddie freaks out when he first gets the Venom symbiote. He eats a lot of tater tots.
What's this about tater tots?
He eats Eddie's eating a bunch of tater tots. And then he goes in the trash. He just takes out some chicken from the trash can and starts eating it.
See, this is why I keep saying that this film is just sounding like a movie that should have came out around 2003.
Yeah, and
It all starts to sound like it comes from the era of Ghost Rider, Daredevil, and what's that fucking Daredevil spinoff? The one with Jennifer Lopez or whatever. Elektra, right? Or Catwoman. Seems like it belongs in, or like the Fantastic Four.
It's actually yeah. There's one scene similar to Catwoman apparently where I haven't seen Catwoman, but
Where it's like this weird, bizarre adaptation of a comic book character that just barely feels like it belongs in it as its own thing and doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. And this is me just giving an assessment of it without having even seen it. I don't even know why it's a topic. None of us have seen Venom. What are we doing? Shade has, but it's like
oh yeah, and there's a scene where Eddie and the symbiote make out.
wait, what?
Like the Venom symbiote.
Come again?
The Venom symbiote gets on a dog, and it gets on Eddie's ex-girlfriend, and then she kisses him to pass the symbiote to him.
And he licks Venom?
No,
Venom licks him?
No, the dog gets the dog walks up to his Venom kisses Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock.
Okay.
It's a reference to She-Venom from the comics, because Eddie's ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend.
There's a She-Venom?
Yeah.
Who the fuck came up with that one? Hey.
It was like for one issue. It was for
There's
one
a chick. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like Venom, but with boobs.
So ridiculous.
And
if you haven't noticed, the image for the video is, of course, Halloween related. This is the Metropolis Pictures Freaktober special, and I think it's time that we transition into talking about some of our favorite horror movies that we've watched over the years. Who wants to start?
Favorite time of year. Where to begin with how much I love old horror movies, especially from the late 70s and throughout the 80s.
Are there any good 90s horror movies?
Yeah, there was Candyman.
Candyman
from 1992. About this dude who controls insects, if I remember correctly. It's been forever since I've seen it, and
I've never
1989 there was the Blair Witch Project. Oh yeah, and Wes Craven's Scream.
Mm-hmm. So there are some great ones.
But beyond that, horror movies kind of went downhill after like 2000.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's because they became just a bit overplayed, and there's not much you can do with them except, I suppose, experiment and not make them outright horror movies, but more of dramas disguised as horror films, which I suppose A24 does. Well, they don't really do it. They market their movies, some of their movies, as horror films, but in reality, they're not really horror, or at least not straight up horror. And that's how I personally felt about a film like Hereditary.
Oh yeah, still need to. Was that any good?
Well, here's the thing. I saw it, I watched it, I was blown away by the direction and the acting, and then as soon as I left the theater, I was like, man, that was fantastic, but I never want to watch it again. Because it seems like a movie the movie is as straightforward as you can get, and you can think about it all you want, but it's like, no, the minute you get to the funeral scene with the mother, and it's like, you get an idea where this is going. I know how this is going to end. I know what's going on here. That guy smiling at the little girl, that's like, he's going to come back in some way. I see all the seeds you're setting up here. This plot is not as interesting as you're making it out to be. I've seen this plot a million times. Or at least I think I do. It's like, I say that, but I can never actually remember what movies I've seen the plots of, but it's like Hereditary was great, but it's not as great as people are making it out to be.
Yeah, I haven't really watched many horror films, because I don't like being scared, I guess. But now, when I was a kid, now I feel like I could watch them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't get enough of them now.
But
I watch them in between whenever I'm in the mood.
One thing I did watch, though, was Goosebumps.
Oh, okay. That technically counts. The last recent great horror movie that I saw recently was the one directed by Fred Decker, or did he write it? I'm not sure. It had Tom Atkins from Halloween 3 and Escape from New York. He usually works for John Carpenter. I thought that was pretty good. And one thing I noticed is that a lot of the characters were named after famous horror directors. Like one of the kids' name was John Hooper Carpenter, which is it's like John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. It's pretty neat.
The last great horror movie that I saw that's recent was It Follows. I don't know
It
if you've heard
Follows.
that.
That was fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh yeah. I have a Mondo Steelbook Blu-ray of it sitting right here. I just pulled my movies out just to see what horror movies I own.
To be honest with you, I don't own as much as you think. Right now, I just have all the basic ones. I've got Alien, The Thing, The Exorcist, The Evil Dead. That's about it. That's as much as I've got. I know I have Halloween somewhere around here and Jaws.
Yeah.
The only Halloween movie I have is Halloween 3 because that's my favorite one.
That's
Oh my god, Halloween 3 is fantastic.
Halloween
It's
3
way
sort of just makes me jealous.
better than
Jealous that in some alternate universe that the Halloween franchise became a bunch of anthology movies set on Halloween, and each one just got wilder and wilder.
I wish.
We just get stuck with a bunch of movies about a guy who just goes around in a white mask, and a white William Shatner mask, just killing everybody.
And it's essentially the same movie over and over.
Yes, and there's like...
You've seen one or two, you've seen them all.
Yeah. And no matter how many times you bring him back, there's no denying that this franchise only works for one movie. I suppose 2 sort of works, but it's just a bit slow in my opinion. You know, why don't we talk about Halloween 3? Why don't we talk about
Halloween 3.
Let's talk about Halloween 3 and why it's fan-fucking-tastic. So
Yeah.
Halloween 3.
Have not
the
seen
third.
What?
Well,
Okay.
you definitely should. You describe the plot of most Halloween movies. What do they tell you? It's about a guy in a William Shatner mask going around killing a bunch of teenagers. What's Halloween 3?
Halloween 3 is about where
Like, you can't even begin to describe it, can you?
A toil.
Nothing.
I'm at a loss for words.
Well, it's like if you're a fan of Halloween Mask, this movie might put you off it for a few years.
Masks, deadly Halloween masks, might I add. This movie is for you, and as well as original RoboCop-esque gore and blood and
what was that?
Shit. I said the effects have original RoboCop levels of gore.
And like squib and
Okay,
stuff.
I checked.
I mean, it's not.
I checked in Halloween.
What?
I checked in I can watch Halloween 3. It's on demand, so I can watch it like soon.
Yeah, well, watch it as soon as you can. I think
It's
3 captures the Halloween.
What's it about? It's about an emergency room doctor who investigates a plot of a awful plot of a mask maker in a small town that's trying to kill a bunch of kids on Halloween night, essentially.
And these mask makers are apparently modern day witches.
Believe in like Celtic ritual on Halloween night.
Where they basically just hate little kids, and it's like, man, fuck little kids, man. Gotta
Fuck
kill them
little
all.
kids. Let's kill them all with these masks. It'll be great as long as they watch the TV on Halloween night. We can kill a bunch of kids.
And it's like you just sit there and wonder. It's like, who in their right mind came up with this, and why does it work so well? I mean, for a while, I thought that it was directed by John Carpenter, and as a matter of fact, I wonder if it was shadow directed by him.
John Carpenter, like under a pen name or like a pseudonym or something.
Mm-hmm. Because he did the score, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Him and Alan
Harwood.
Yeah.
Oh wait, give me a second. I got to close the door.
Yeah, you would think that he probably that he, you would think that it was a he probably ghost directed it under a pseudonym.
And because it's just the direction of the film in general just feels like so much like him. You've got like the use of the steady cam, a lot of glides and dollies, and it's an anamorphic, isn't it? Which is his usual aesthetic. I'm not sure if it's anamorphic. We'll have to check that up.
I'm looking at the back of the box right now, and it says anamorphic.
It's an anamorphic, like which is like a staple of Carpenter, and I'm not sure if the other Halloween films kept up with that aesthetic, but I swear that I'm sure there's information out there that he may have shadow directed this film at one point, because I'm sure that like in between, when was Halloween 3? What year?
1982.
1982. He would have. I'm sure he might have had some time to do it before he went on to work on while he was working on The Thing.
Yeah.
And because The Thing was released in 1982, and not sure when he started filming that movie, but
and that's enough.
It's like it's one of those perfect films to put on Halloween, not just for like the bizarreness or like all the scares, because I don't particularly find the film all that scary, but I just find like the mood of it just bizarre and out of this world,
and just the
creepy,
crazy atmosphere going on with the head mask maker guy, Cochran, if Cochran is his name. There's just you really feel that there's just something really off about him as soon as you meet him.
I just find it cool to think that like Tom Atkins, who like worked with Carpenter a few times, just managed to lead, and he's sort of just in that circle of. Wait, am I breaking up? Oh,
a little bit.
I'm breaking up, and that's and he's in that small circle of actors that that belong with Carpenter, and I can only just imagine what it would have been like if this series just kept going. And I think Mike of Red Letter Media once said this, that anthology in cinema has never once worked. But it's like I'm sure it could if you did it well. And the closest thing we've gotten is those Cloverfield movies, which so far have only had one bad movie. Cloverfield Paradox was shit.
And
that was released this year, right? I don't even remember.
And another piece, I guess you could call this techno horror, is a TV series called Black Mirror. Each episode, it's a TV series. It's an anthology TV series. Each episode is different. It's like a modern version of the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
But it's centered around technology going wrong in the near future.
I don't think there's a single episode of that show I haven't enjoyed. Sometimes I watch an episode and I want to stop watching because it's just too goddamn disturbing to just endure.
And when the
like
and rewatch. Oh, you were gonna say something.
Like after once I got to White Bear, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna put this off for a bit. I don't need that type of ending in my life. I'm just gonna watch some dumbass Adam Sandler movies.
And going through it a second time recently, the foreshadowing hits you like a truck.
Mm-hmm. All those little examples.
And the writer Charlie Brooker loves to do that.
He just loves to fuck around with you, and he keeps them just so vague and just like under the radar that once you watch it again, it's like, how did I not see this the first time? Because he distracts you with all these emotions and acting. It's great.
And that episode, San Junipero, broke me down into tears.
See, here's the thing. I like that episode, and I think it's great, but I don't think it's the best Black Mirror's ever done. But arguably it is, just not to me.
It's one of my It's one of my favorite episodes of the series. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
was
one episode I really like is White Christmas.
Oh yeah, I
Christmas.
love that one too.
That episode just made me realize that Charlie Brooker must really hate Christmas,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
like with a burning passion.
He's a modern day Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
And he's British too.
Bah humbug.
I liked how that episode had the whole would you rather be in solitary confinement and have your virtual self tortured, or have freedom but be blocked by everyone?
Oh my god. I couldn't imagine that. And what's terrifying about it is we are dangerously close to getting to that point with technology.
It's like the guy's wife didn't even want to tell him that she was cheating on him. Spoilers here. There's gonna be spoilers throughout, people. It's like, why didn't she just tell him that she was cheating on him and she didn't want to be with him? Which probably would have broke his heart, but it's like not speaking to someone and just blocking them out of your life is not going to solve anything, and it's just gonna. And unlike what happens to him, it just makes someone obsessed that with the idea that there's someone out there who doesn't want their attention, and especially if you're an attention whore, it's just gonna drive that person to do horrible things. You should just tell them what they're doing wrong. But obviously there's just this disconnect with social media in our society where it's like we would rather block somebody out of the blue than actually express our feelings to them and just try to find a compromise, but we'd rather block.
And it's really disheartening and really depressing to me.
I think that it's like with the new Twilight Zone's happening right now with Jordan Peele, right? I saw a promo for it.
Really? I didn't hear anything about it.
I heard news about it.
There was a promo with basically reciting the opening monologue for like the second season, the second, third, and other seasons, because the first season's monologue is pretty longer, and I personally like the monologue of the first season a little more than the others. It's like I'm sure most people remember. There's a signpost up ahead. It's the Twilight Zone, but I find something more. I don't know, I find the first one to be a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a bit more vague and a bit more subtle than the other monologues. But yeah, it's got Jordan Peterson reciting the opening monologue.
The only thing I find annoying about this is that it's on CBS's quote unquote streaming service.
A streaming service that I'm sure would be best if you were like in your 50s, because that's the type of people who watch CBS.
Like just put it on Netflix. Like the original Twilight Zone's on Netflix, Star Trek is on Netflix, unless they plan on removing all those shows and putting them on their CBS streaming service.
No, Star Trek is staying on Netflix indefinitely, from what I hear. But honestly,
hey. Oh, you were saying something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Netflix took off the X-Files. I'm so mad about that because I was in the middle of going through it.
I thought it was.
And Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, I wanted to start those shows. They were in my list.
They took out Buffy the Vampire Slayer too. Okay, well I guess I'm gonna go out and buy the Blu-ray.
I have season 1 on DVD, so that's good.
It's like this constant fucking monopoly with streaming services. It's just like taking things on and off. That the only reason you signed up for the service in the first place was to watch that one particular thing. But they have like these manipulating marketing tactics. It's like, we're going to keep this one particular film on for 1 month, then take it out. And obviously there's a lot more to do on Netflix, so the people who basically paid to watch the service for only 1 month are only gonna are probably going to be too distracted to even, quit the service in time enough to not be charged for the 1 month of using it. And that made no sense.
I will
I'm
give
just
them
trying to piece my
this.
thoughts together.
I will give them this. Netflix has some pretty good original programming,
Yes.
but beyond that, it's just a wild west of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some good things on there if you dig, but not a lot. I mean, there's the Godfather is on there now.
Uh-huh. And the thing is, it's like
The
they accept anything.
Oh yeah, like Big
Anything.
Mouth.
if you find the weirdest Z grade bargain bin at Walmart movies ever.
Like, Netflix is for people who don't care about quality and just want a service that will allow them to watch entertainment that isn't all particularly good, but they just don't have the ability to critique it enough to care. It's like, I suppose that was all right. It's better than going to the movie theater for like, and paying for a ticket for $20 and $20 more for concessions and shit.
$20 for a movie ticket? What theater are you going to?
No, it's an exaggeration, but that's how they always make it out to be. But honestly, I spend $20 on concessions.
Oh yeah, and at Alamo Draft House, our food is pretty pricey too. Like actual food items and drinks and whatnot. It's like, if you're not careful, you might end up with a $60 bill.
It's like IMAX is $20, isn't it, for an IMAX ticket?
Yeah. At Alamo, we don't have a IMAX screen at our theater, but the ones that do, I think it's like $15-$16 for an IMAX ticket. 3D is $13, and a regular first run ticket is $10, I think.
I saw. I've only been to one IMAX screening in my, and it's because I could afford it at the time. It was for Dunkirk. It was quite the experience.
Yeah, I saw the Hobbit movies on IMAX, and it was just like, it was in widescreen, so.
Wait, what?
I saw all the Hobbit movies in IMAX, but it was like a wide screen, like it wasn't the whole screen.
It was cropped?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if it's the way it was filmed. Yeah, it was like cropped, but well, it was widescreen. It didn't take up the whole screen. And I found that kind of annoying.
Oh, it's interesting. Wonder what was up with that. I had a similar experience seeing the Goblet of Fire during the Harry Potter. During the Harry Potter, back to theater week that Warner Brothers had, where I was pretty excited to see it and I enjoyed it for what it was, but Cinemark was airing it in its Cinema XD, which is their fake IMAX theater, the little Walmart brand IMAX theater.
That's what that Cinema XD thing is. I never knew what that was.
Well,
because back in Kansas City, where I'm from, we have Cinemark theaters there, and they started doing that Cinema XD whatever a couple years ago, and I've always wondered what that was.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like a slightly bigger screen, better surround sound, and the seats are a bit more comfy, I guess. And it's in the biggest room of the theater, and it's sort of like their brand of IMAX, except it's just a bit cheaper, and I guess the image is a bit crisper.
My school always took trips to the IMAX theater, and we watched documentaries.
I would never pay for a documentary in IMAX.
Those were they were quote unquote event, they were, I don't know, they were IMAX original movies.
Wasn't there didn't Christopher Nolan break a special type of IMAX camera on during the shooting of The Dark Knight?
I think so.
Yeah. There
if I
was like only
remember
a few in the
correctly.
world or something. Let me check this up. I can't check it up because if I use the internet, then the CPU is going to get overloaded and then the connection is going to break down. So I'll just have to go on a whim here and assume that's true. Where were we? We were on Halloween movies,
Yeah.
but we
Oh
transitioned
yeah.
into.
Segue. I'm going to see The Shining on the big
Holy
screen
shit!
in a week. Yes.
Where is it?
Alamo Drafthouse.
Of course, that's where you work. Well, that sounds
and,
exciting. That's
and that's next Tuesday night.
hmm
Cannot wait. Or actually, 2 weeks from now.
I see.
And the night before that, I'm going to see Army of Darkness for the first time. The Evil Dead movie.
Army of Darkness?
Yeah, Evil Dead 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're as. Yeah, I was gonna go, but I don't know if tickets are okay. There's some tickets.
What I was
But
going to see, I'm debating whether or not to see this tomorrow, but the original Halloween playing in a theater nearby, well, it's a city away, but the only issue is that it's playing at 11 o'clock, and this is at not a particularly safe area of the neighborhood, so I'm debating whether or not I should go.
I would advise against it.
You would advise against it, right?
Just
then I
because
have it.
because of the area, I think.
The area, yeah.
As once you get out of that late at night, it's not going to be pretty.
No. This is like an area where there's like drug addicts and like it's not like there's no gang problem, but it's a lot of white trash bullshit going on there. Not to offend anybody. Like just say
Yeah. My town is
Yeah.
full of white trash.
it happens. Well, let me get my phone for a second. Actually, I have to get some water. I've been talking for a bit and my mouth is drying up. Give me a second. You guys are gonna talk shit about me when I leave, are you?
Let's talk amongst ourselves.
Yeah. Just talk amongst yourself. I'll be listening to this, you know. This shit's being recorded.
Oh, I know. We know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Seeing The Shining on the big screen, that's gonna be a experience and a half. Oh my god.
That sounds awesome.
And seeing Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness the night before for the first time on the big screen, that's gonna be great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have Ash versus the Evil Dead on Netflix.
I still need to take a look at that. I have a gigantic backlog of at least 4 or 5 pages long of things that I need to watch.
Yeah, I have a huge list on Netflix too.
You can thank school and work for that.
Yeah, how much?
And video games, dear God, my video game backlog is gigantic.